Okay. Thank you. So I wanted to test my Slido and figure out who's here today. So I don't know if you are familiar with this. This is kind of an interactive tool. If you either go to slido.com and enter the number that appears on the slide, or scan the QR code with your device, it will bring you to a survey where you can tell us if you are a current graduate student, past graduate students, because I invited to this meeting the alumni from our program for the last 10 years. If you're a postdoctoral fellow, a supervisory faculty, a non-supervisory faculty, a clinical faculty, a resident, and I'm sorry, I should have had other category, which I forgot. And you can, I believe, click more than one if more than one applies to you. Okay. And so I can see that 14 people have now entered. I will give it a couple minutes since we have 25 people in the room. And this is to give me an idea of, because I know I will have these surveys and I don't know exactly who is answering those surveys. So this will help us have a better grip. Do people need more time? We're at 17. Okay, hearing none, I think I will go ahead and show the results. So it tells us here that 35% of people in the Zoom right now are supervisor faculty. That's great, because I was definitely hoping you'd be there, followed by graduate students, clinical faculty, and 12% are past graduate students. Thank you very much for being there. You could have some very valuable insight for us, given that you did do our program and then you went on to your career, and then you can tell us what helped you and what would have helped you going forward. All right, so I'm going to move on. Wanting to describe a little bit who are the pathology grad students. Typically, it oscillates between 60 and 75 students in our program. Like right now, a lot of our students have graduated and many of them will enter in September. So we're in the low range, but it will go back up, as I mentioned, in September. Most of our students will do 12 credits of courses. So that's to keep in mind when we think about the courses that we have to offer. Importantly, our students are disseminating across many sites in the Lower Mainland, unlike other departments. So we have people at UBC as well as several research institutes around the city and around hospitals. It's a highly heterogeneous group in terms of their training and background knowledge. And there are currently no prerequisites for our graduate courses. So meaning we have to somehow be able to accommodate students who come from these various backgrounds and work in very different fields. To give you an idea though, our students are strong. 50%, 57% have received competitive awards. And this is counting all the recent first-year students who may not have had a chance really to compete for awards. 40% of those students got external awards, a total value of 1.7 million. 42% got internal awards, total value of $1.1 million. So a significant success. And I would actually mention that our students have been batting above their weight recently. For example, this year there were 6 Vanier awards in all of UBC, and one of those was within our program. There were 38 CGSD, Canadian Graduate Scholarship Doctoral Award. 6 of those were in our program. So relative to our size, we are doing very well. and this is a reflection on our students and our supervisors. But I also like to think that it reflects the work done by PASA, by GSS, and by the graduate program to prepare our students in terms of preparing strong CVs and strong scholarship applications. The research projects that our students undertake span an extremely broad range of topics, and I'm listing only some of them here, and this doesn't cover everything. So as you can see, unlike other departments where there may be much more targeted research topics, we are broad, and this is something that we need to consider when we are developing our curriculum. To give you an idea of where our students have been going after graduating, we have used publicly available data information to collect data on the type of current positions for our alumni. We have managed to track 308 out of the 399 graduates between 1990 and 2022. And this graph, I apologize if it's a little bit small. These slides will be available for those who want them. You can see that the majority followed the academic careers. So in blue show the number of our PhD and or MD PhD students. In orange, it's the percentage of our master students. So the majority in academia. This is followed by industry, and then followed by what we call the public health sector, which would be primarily medicine, and then followed by academic physicians, so medicine, but actively involved in research in academia. And then as you can see, there's really only a spatter of other type of career that have been pursued by our graduates. Surprisingly, non-diverse. I was surprised myself. But I want to point out that there are a number of graduates that we were not able to locate, either because they changed their names or are working not in an English language, and we could not locate them. Any questions around this? I'm not going to show you similar data except for our alumni who graduated in the last 5 years. And it's essentially a very similar picture. We located 67 of the 78 alumni in the last 5 years. They're primarily going into academic route, meaning they're now either masters or now PhD students, or PhD students are now postdocs. A number of them went into industry, medicine, and maybe a little surge into the number of students who go into business. And by business, we mean non-biotech, non-pharma, so other types of business.
Helene, how does this compare to other departments like, I don't know, experimental medicine or?
To be honest, Torsten, I can't tell you because I haven't seen any other department generating data like that. If it's available, I have not seen it. I don't think it's available. This took a fair amount of effort. We hired a work line, and it's been like almost a year of work to gather this data. Yeah. So, I mean, I would think it's probably similar to experimental medicine, but I don't know. In my experience from speaking to our student, I think because the biotech industry is really doing well these days around Vancouver, I think more students who want to stay in Vancouver are considering biotech industry. But it's not yet reflected in the numbers, but I suspect it will in the next few years. There's something in the chat. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So these are the courses that are currently available, and I start with the mandatory courses. There are only 2 of them. each of them is 2 credits. One is current topics in pathology, and it's a journal club-like course with lectures and presentation and interaction with faculty who are presenting. And then there's Path 535635, which is our graduate studies seminar, and a number of lectures on oral and written communication skills, as well as students giving seminars about their research. We have reduced the mandatory courses to only 4 out of our 12 credits. And we purposefully did that so that we can leave more credits for students to choose courses that are relevant to their research area or research project. And those can be in PATH or elsewhere, as there are many courses offered in other programs that accept, sometimes, not always, but that accept students from other programs. In terms of the course that we recommend, at the moment there are 3. So Path 501, which is Foundation in Human Histopathology. It used to be mandatory, and this is one that we have removed, as we heard from many that for many students this was not really relevant for what they needed to learn. The second one that we recommend is actually a directed studies, but a very long name, but really it's study design and statistics. We just couldn't at the time use the word statistics in the title. So, and then the third one is Path 547, Techniques in Molecular Biology and Experimental Pathology. This is useful for students who have limited lab experience, and it's taught by a very good teacher. And that's it. After that, we have some elective courses, and you'll see it's not a very large number at the moment. So Path 521, 31, and 570. I will let you read the title. You'll notice each of those courses 3 credits. And they are either on cancer, cardiovascular, or general human pathogenesis of pulmonary disease. Okay. Apart from that, all the other courses we offer are what we call directed studies. So there's one on diabetes, one on hemostasis, and one on which is pathology introduction to genomics. This is a course really designed for residents, but that Tracy Tucker accepted to make available to our graduate student as well. And this one is only 1 credit. After that, we have 2 new courses that have come along following a consultation around big data genomics, where we felt that there was a shortage of courses in our program. So the first is Introduction to Data Clustering and Dimensionality Reduction. It's only 1 credit. It's going to be offered in the fall. And then the second is really Ali Bashashati adapting his BMEG 310 course to make it a 3-credit course for our students, where it's like machine learning, analysis of DNA and RNA sequencing, primarily around cancer. These are going to be offered for the first time this fall. We're going to see how it goes, and there may be some adjustment made, but I think they meet a need for our students in terms of big data and bioinformatics analyses. I want to mention, you'll notice there's a lot of directed studies, and these are the type of courses that can be developed by any faculty. I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but there's information on our website on how to develop a directed studies course, and how to get it approved by the program if you're interested to do so. Finally, there are some non-path courses that reserve some seats for our students, and Stat 540 is one of them, whereby it's primarily taught by a pathology faculty, and so our students typically are able to attend this course. They can register in this course.
And then for the other courses you listed, how big are these class sizes, and what fraction of students are coming from other departments?
It varies. So for the directed studies, Typically, it's really up to the faculty who's teaching it to determine how many students they want in the class. I will say generally it very rarely exceeds 10 students. So those are nice small classes, that are more intimate and allow for different type of learning compared to larger classes. I would say the exception would be PAT 548B, the BMEG course. This will likely be a large course because it's a third year BMEG class. And typically it would not be less than 3, but rarely more than 10 or 12. I'm listing here just for interest a number of courses that we have removed from our calendar because they have never been given ever since I've been here, as far as I know, except maybe nutrition and metabolic aspect. But a course similar has now been started in a different program. And so these are no longer offered on our calendar. So in terms of thinking forward, we know that going through Senate approval for new courses is a lengthy and rigid process. And once approved, meaningful changes require an amendment, which is also a lengthy process. So our PALM Curriculum Committee has been favoring using the more nimble directed study approach. And so these are courses that can be developed and approved within months internally within the program. It allows for a more modular approach, like so smaller credits when that is sufficient, 1 or 2 credits, even 1.5 credits. It offers flexible timing, so you don't need to have your courses as part of a calendar. They can be intense, all given within a week. It can be given within a month. You can choose whichever schedule you want. For example, mine is given from beginning of April to the end of June. And I choose this time because it makes sense. Students know what their project is about, but they are not so advanced in their project that they would not benefit from a study design course, for example. The directed studies approach allow for to easily adapt the content to me of the course based on who's in the class or what are the new advances in the field. One advantage is that the faculty teach what they know and like, and also they will typically develop a course that is useful for their own student, although they have to open it to other students, not just their own. And it's something that is also flexible in terms of offering some teaching or lecture opportunities for postdocs, for example. We are striving to create more teaching opportunities for our postdocs. I can't speak about whether they are paid or not at the moment, but nevertheless, it's good for them to have some teaching experience on their CV. This approach with smaller courses also allows a better tailoring of the 12 credits of course that the students will take. So they can really try and take courses that are meaningful and have value for them. And I feel that it offers the potential for more material to be made available potentially to other pathology trainees, such as postdoc residents or even BMLSD students, depending on the structure of the courses. So with this in mind, these are some of the suggested areas for courses that we have heard, either through the curriculum committee, through other informal consultation. I'm giving you a list here that is what I would call the general topics. So these are not, disease specific or research topic specific, really. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts about these potential topics. And I'm actually going to ask you to rank them in terms of which ones do you think should be prioritized. So same idea, if you could scan the QR code or go to slido.com and start ranking the ones I have put there. I'm just going to do it myself because right now I'm not seeing it. So just to give you some description while we are doing the voting. So knowledge synthesis and reviews. So the idea would be to teach students how to do a scoping review or a systematic review using software such as Providence. We would invite people from the library to give some some advice on how to build search strategies for reviews, and then how a review should be written, etc. So this would be potentially, for example, a 1-credit course. R, of course, is something that many faculty have said that they would like their students to have training in. However, there are introduction to R courses offered by UBC Library as well as online. Grant and manuscript writing. Our students in pathology have to write a grant proposal as part of their comprehensive exam. So offering them training on how to do that would be a good idea, clearly. And then this would also benefit our postdocs who need to develop that skill if they are aiming to continue in academia. So, something we would make available to both. Team-based research is something we've heard from faculty as well as employers that for them it's very interesting and important that students be able to work in teams and manage projects, etc. So, and then finally, EDI, patient-oriented, community-engaged research. This is the new type of research that is promoted by the Faculty of Medicine. And it's hard to embark into patient-oriented research or community-engaged research if you don't know what that is and how that works. So I'm going to stop here and see what the results of our poll looks like. So far, grant and manuscript writing is in the lead. R just overtook knowledge synthesis, and but all topics seem fairly popular. Any comments from anyone on these and other potential topics that would be general that we haven't thought of?
Is that possible to combine the grant and manuscript writing with experimental design? That course already offered. Seems like they're connected, experimental design and grant writing.
Well, it depends how many credits it would be, because experimental design is it requires, I think, a fair number of hours of instruction. So, but there could be, a bridged version on at least, how you should do sample size calculation or power calculations for your grant and how this should be presented in the context of a grant proposal. Yeah, that would be part of it. Yeah. Anything else on this topic? All right.
Hi, Helene. Oh,
Yeah.
I have one comment.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can hear me okay. So I know with UBC Intro to Statistics courses, they've kind of switched from using R Commander, which is just point and click, to actually using R, the language. So hopefully students coming in will have just a slightly better background on the command line with R. But I would also suggest maybe just like a data structure and algorithms course to also then be R/Python, because learning that theory, that's something that's not taught that I've seen in general, like biological science curriculums. And then using the language is the skill then that can be developed. But for a course, that might be very useful to consider instead or in combination.
A very good point, Jane. And I think it's we're at an inflection right now where it's true that a lot of incoming students haven't had these teachings as undergrad. And I think 5 years from now, the picture will be different. Many will have had some instruction in R and Python and that type of. And there are some courses now that we have, such as Ali and Pathfinder 48.0, who will give basics in R. And there, as I said, there's a lot of material online where people can self-learn the introduction to R, but would be very interested to talk with people about designing potentially a 1-credit course that would just allow people to get engaged with these languages so that they can do the type of analyses their projects will require.
Yeah, I think it's awesome you're including these. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to move on. Is there any other comments on this more general? Okay, going to move on to what I would call more specialized topics. So you saw in the courses that have been removed from the calendar, we had a fair bit of toxicology and things like that. And I didn't include it here because I didn't hear there was a need. These are the topics that have been raised either by people who could not attend today and sent me an email, or raised by other consultation about big data earlier, or through the curriculum. So microscopy, image analysis, AI, digital pathology, preclinical animal models, biomarker development, evaluation, etc., analytical chemistry, flow cytometry, and laboratory quality. So, and there may be others. I invite you to put it in the chat or speak up if you, but I'm going to do the same thing with these and invite you to rank which ones you think would have value for our students and that we should try to prioritize. Of course, to develop courses, we need to have people. So it can only be done if we have faculty who are interested in developing these courses. But no, I can speak from experience that when you know you're meeting a need, it's motivating to develop curriculum. To follow up on what we were talking about, Jane, while we wait, for example, as I say, I know as part of several courses, R and sometimes Python will be touched on. For example, in my course, Study Design and Statistics, moving forward next year, I'm going to be co-teaching with Andy Roth. And although we will be using JUMP software as part of the course, Andy will provide information for the students, and so that they can do the same analyses and same tests using R in conjunction with.
Oh, right. That's good. I like that. Awesome.
Yeah. That way, you have the people, because more and more we're going to have people coming in that are familiar and already using R, and we don't want them to tell them that you can't do that. So we already tell them use whatever software you're familiar with, but this way it will be more. All right, so I'm giving you the results of the poll after 20 people. Microscopy, image analysis, AI came on top, biomarkers second, preclinical animal models third, flow cytometry and lab quality, fewer people. So that's interesting. No microscopy, it's true. So many people are using microscopy and images, and yet we don't have a lot of training around that in our program. And I know biomarkers I've heard multiple times, and I see it in my own class. A lot of people are doing biomarker research. Okay, any comments on this? And of course, I remind people that we can only develop courses if we have people interested in helping develop them. Okay, so I'm seeing a comment from Jennifer that flow cytometry is expensive. Yeah, we may be only able to, to do that if we have someone who either has access to a flow cytometer or if we can get budget to book time on the instruments. So, of course. All right. I'm nearing the end of my presentation, but I invite you to, at any time, if you have other suggestions or any comment. In fact, I'm going to have this open comments and suggestions. If you want to write anything, any topic that we didn't think of that you think would have value, any comment on doing things differently than what we proposed, anything that we didn't think of. I think, whoops. I think the way this one is any text will automatically show up. Yeah. Okay, good point. Yeah.
Oh, while all people are writing, can I make a comment or suggestion, Helene?
Absolutely.
So I keep thinking about this. So we have junior clinical faculties or clinicians who never had a chance to do a master or PhD degree, but they're interested in doing some research work and publishing, all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, could we have some sort of a certificate or even a model develop those conditions that they can get a certificate after this, or even to the level that getting a degree out of it, and if they're persistent, taking all the courses, getting all the credits. So is that a way of doing those? Because I see this motivations and career passions on this, but the opportunity has not been a lot there. Even Torsten might have some input on that too. Yeah, just throw it there because you guys probably know. Yeah.
I think I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the process to initiate a certificate and have it. I don't know the regulatory elements around it, and so I think it's definitely our intent to try and have any material developed, such as the grant writing or even the scientific communication. We are opening GSS to residents and postdocs if they want to come, especially during the lectures on how to make a good oral presentation, how to write an abstract, how to write a research summary, how to write a lay summary, how to do how to present a poster. So because these are skills that are useful for everyone. And so as part of other courses, and it would be open for people to sit in for sure. In terms of getting credits and or certification for it, it's something we could investigate. I don't want to speak to it without knowing.
Kind of like particularly motivated clinicians get taking advantage of this. Thorsten, you have any insight on this? You probably know more than me on this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't. Obviously, in the MD PhD program, those students are busy getting formal training, and so it's not really an area I know much about. Sorry.
No, but I think he's meaning, let's say, clinicians who are thinking of wanting to write a research proposal but are needing that skill could seek to take these courses alongside our graduate students, for example. Postdocs, there is talk of having a mentorship program with a mini grant competition for postdocs, and the grant writing aspect could be incorporated in that mentorship. Instead of teaching the same material different times, people could be all together, which would also promote cross-pollination between people and potentially favor collaboration, right?
Well, certainly one of the reasons that we have MD PhD programs is to get that formal research training for the MDs and people who are on the clinical track. And it's definitely true that straight MDs have a lower success rate with their grant proposals and their research, their attempts to get funding for research. So there could very well be a demand for that, and I think it would be nice to have it open and create that cross-fertilization environment if you're able to handle a larger number of people. That's assuming that the MDs would be able to find the time and the time in their schedule to actually participate.
Mm-hmm. And the advantage of directed studies is they can be at any time, so this could be adapted so that it accommodates people's schedule. All right. I don't see much else coming. Any other comments? This is it's a continued discussion. Anyone who is interested of either contributing or taking on the development of any course that was discussed today, please contact us. And the directed studies route is a really relatively simple one, and we can walk you through it. I'm just going to also plug that to watch for our survey on pathology comprehensive exam format, where we are evaluating our comp and whether or not we want to modify this format. And we will be seeking input from past students, current student, current supervisor, past supervisor, etc. This survey is going to be sent probably by Heather. It will also be in our weekly newsletter that the graduate program generates. I invite everybody to have a quick look at that newsletter. It comes every day, midday on Monday. Every week on Mondays. It has the sections for grad students, for postdocs, for supervisors. And this is our way to communicate anything new that's happening in the program, as well as around news about awards, news about what's going on campus, etc. And we also invite you to watch for alumni engagement events, whereby we have a newly formed alumni engagement committee that will try to organize reunions for our alumni and an opportunity to again network between our current students and our past students and our supervisors. So I thank you very, very much for joining us today. As I say, these slides can be made available to you if you contact me or Heather. And any additional comments you may have, otherwise I'm going to give you back 15 minutes. No?
So please pass, we do not have many people attending this today, but please pass the word along to the people that you know, and anybody can send feedbacks to Helen. And all your feedbacks could help Helen to take the program to the next level of accomplishment. And so this is what exactly she also do to improve and take it to the next level. And all your help will be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I think, this is our goal, is to our program to be great value for the student and be responsive to the needs of our faculty and supervisors. And so we can only do this if we hear from you. Several of you have already contacted me, and I thank you, and I look forward to more interactions. On this note, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I wish you an excellent long weekend.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to stay, Jackie, we could just chat about what you want to chat about. I can't hear you. So maybe I'll send you another Zoom link.
Yeah, sure.
You're on
We can
mute.
chat quick. We can chat quick. Hi, Heather.
Hi,
Heather,
Jackie.
can I ask you a quick question? When do students then get put on to like mailers for departmental seminars and stuff? Just when courses start?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's always been my understanding. Whenever their appointment is active.
Okay, but it's appointment because right now
Well,
appointment.
I'm assuming for department it's appointment. For me, it
Yeah.
would be sort of mid to late August. But
Okay.
I'll create a separate list for just the incoming students that I'll send information about the orientation and all that kind of stuff too in July.
Okay, sounds good.
But
Do
yeah.
do we know how many have you heard anything yet on kids for 501? Because I keep getting emails from more kids from outside the department wanting to take 501. We've had 3 now, 4 maybe.
Oh, that's good. I can take a look right now and see how many have registered.
It's great, to have people who are taking the course because they need this material.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. What I'm getting more of, and I didn't write that in there. I'm getting so many requests for a neuro, and I mentioned this to you before, a neuroinflammation or like an immunopathology directed studies. Would be lovely. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, so
Any course can be developed if there is a need for it. Right?
Well, remember I drafted that whole one on for like MS and neuroimmunology and neuroinflammation, right? It just kind of had a little bit of a squash back then, but maybe it will resurrect it.
Maybe it doesn't need to be MS centered. It can be more.
That's my whole point. It's going to be more neuroimmunology, inflammation, and immunopathology, just in disease. We can even have a lecture on diabetes and other tissues or whatever, which I think would be nice. For our students, I think it'd be really important. But anyway, Heather, what can you tell me?
So currently there's 3 students registered.
From our program of like 12 or something.
10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3 have already started in the program. Actually 4. We could include Juliet. So I know Juliet was going to talk to you, Helene, about electives.
She's not going to take 501.
I didn't think so, no. So, I mean, I would think that we're good to go for allowing students from other programs.
Perfect.
Because you guys have a capacity for how many? 25?
No,
22?
with the slide sets, we're actually best between 14 and 20 max.
14 and 20, okay.
Yeah, I think you're good. I mean, we're going to probably have a few more arriving during the summer because we accept late minute, but not going to fill your class. So.
And so of the 10 there's no only 3, like there's the rest have all decided, and so they will not be 501, or some we're not sure of.
We're not sure of all of them.
Okay. Should I send them then a note to ask them, or when do you tell them to have their courses set by?
I don't. I mean, when they get registered, I send them the course
Yeah.
planner.
Yeah.
I ask them to do that, ASAP, because courses fill up. And then just to contact me and let me know once they've figured out with their supervisor what they want to
Okay,
register.
but for the courses that are in September, so I think we're going to need to send them an email about the new Bashar Shati and Thomas course, as well as 501, because
Yeah.
otherwise they're going to miss that.
I worry a
to
little
register
bit.
For the
Yeah, I
Yeah.
worry a little bit about that, just that they sort of think, well, I can kind of start and maybe it's okay. I mean, some students are super keen, but
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
some
I can
aren't.
definitely send one to all the new students and just include the information for the 2
That
new
would
courses
be-
and 501 for sure.
That would be awesome. I usually like to have an idea of that before I send out my email kind of through different departments elsewhere and say, hey, we've got space, but
Heather, can I ask that you CC all their supervisors?
Yeah.
oh, that's a good point.
Because a
No
student
problem.
may not see that
Or think
The-
it's valid.
that a course
valuable. Yeah.
is valuable for
Okay.
them, but their supervisor may.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very true. And then when are you going to be registering people for 548B, and can that already start? I think my one student's going to take it for sure. Well, I
Yeah,
only
it can
have-
start anytime.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. No problem.
All right, Helene, did you set this?
Did I what?
Is this your Zoom? Because
Yeah,
then I can
no,
check
it's
it.
a
Okay.
different Zoom, so I'll send you a new Zoom.
Okay. Oh no, there you are.
Okay, well, we can stay on this. I think I'm a host, so.
Yeah, no, that's just great. I just wanted to ask you kind of what I had mentioned the other day. Folks you felt within our department that did research most similar, maybe not most similar, but could appreciate the variation in our department of the types of research that are being done. Women would be helpful because we have mostly men, but I just went through our department listing, and I also went through faculty of medicine listing. And actually I did pull out people like Angela Devlin, Bruce Fresher, who actually is not in our department, right? He's just in surgery, but how come he does so much in our department?
He is co-appointed with our department.
Or is he like adjunct, or what is he officially? Do you know?
No, he's on our list, so.
I know, that's what I thought was weird. I didn't actually see him, but I'll check that again. Anyway, I thought that was a good person. And Megan Levings, I think, is also a good person from surgery, like people outside of our department.
So when you're saying those people, what are you meaning that you would want them what?
Oh, just people who.
Oh, for you. Okay.
Yeah, like just people who can, I think, well, within the department, people who can speak to, I guess, being the breadth of research in our department and might actually have good appreciations for my work and what I do.
Yeah, you want for sure to have people there that would be doing animal work, so they can have the appreciation of what that
is.
What that is. Bruce is listed as a professor, so he's in surgery, but he's also officially co-appointed with us.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I wasn't sure. So when I was kind of putting him on the list as someone, and then I also thought it was strange because I remember Kevin was saying that they're trying to help this be part of the motion for moving forward. Like, if we're all going to think about this department being our home, and we're all going to think about the type of, how many of us will come up for review again or not. And when we do, having people that appreciate the breadth of work in our department. And I think that's where Bruce's name came up as trying to get.
I think, it's also more important, like if you take people take student in our department. Like Ali Karzan is in our department, but he's vowed that he was never going to take another student in our department, I think, because he doesn't like the comp.
Oh, well, that's going to be something again that could change over time. But I mean, you know, I don't know. You know, given what IOP is looking like, that does look like a great program for certain researchers doing certain types of work. And I guess it might be unfortunate for people who are in pathology that are doing that type of work and don't think that our graduate program necessarily fits that type of work. But I guess every PI will have to look for the best program for their student, right? Like, I don't know. So yeah, so that's it. I think I just wanted to run past and to see if you thought of anyone else that might be appropriate outside of our department, like people you know from medicine. You know, I thought of Kelly McCagney, you know, medical genetics, Fabio, but I collaborate with Fabio.
That somebody that would be a champion of women also.
Yeah, so do you know Elizabeth Rideout? She just was recently promoted to, she's a kind of a diabetes and metabolism researcher. She's in cell physiology. She's good. Shernaz Bamji is good too. So there are some other people. The problem is I collaborate with many of these people, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how.
Yeah, you want people maybe a little more arm's length.
Yeah, exactly. And Helene, just so you know, nobody, the fact that I kind of asked you about this, please share this with no one, because you know what, I don't know what's going to happen. I really have no idea, and we'll see.
But I think,
sorry?
I think, what about somebody like David Huntsman?
Well, I think because he's already been a part of the whole process, I don't think to bring someone
girl that he was on the committee.
You know what, I'm not necessarily 100% positive in terms of who was there for the 4, because you know there was really only 4 of like the 8 that were there to vote.
Yeah.
And the determination was that if someone ever missed a meeting, they couldn't vote that day. So,
really? That's why?
Yeah.
They're not allowed to read material?
Mm-mm. I don't know. I mean, that speaks to, you know, all departments are left to determine how they want to do this, right? And what goes on. But you know, we have a huge department, and we have a committee that looks after it. Medical genetics has, you know, 32 faculty members that show up and vote when it's time for those.
Well, that's it. Jamie's department is like that as well. Everybody shows up to vote on promotion.
So anyway, but a department does what a department does. And so,
yeah,
you know,
but we can, at the executive, we can discuss perhaps changing that.
Yeah, I think, well, from what Kevin mentioned, he felt that, you know, moving forward, because he's on the committee now, he just also said that, you know, he has to be a little bit mindful because he's going through right now, right? And so he said, you know, he kind of understands that he's going through, and then once he is through, that he hopes to help to make that a flavor that can better represent things at the department. There were also, which is quite interesting, and I want to be mindful of your time, I don't have more to say, the new collective agreement speaks to, rather than sustained productivity, which is what the core language was from our last collective agreement, now speaks to trajectories, increasing recognition, increasing all these types of things. So that's also very, that works well in favor of all faculty. I think, you know, coming through COVID and coming through everything right now, I think that's going to be it's going to be a good thing. So anyway, no,
I'm looking at the list, and you know, not a lot of people who are not elderly and
So, you know, there was some interest in the list of who became the comparators and how long it had been since anyone had been promoted and where that fit. But that's just the nature of what our department was like. You know, our department had basically been on a 10-year hiring freeze.
well,
right?
I know, but it's also that there were no women. You were among the first women hired in a long time,
It's true.
and you were doing animal models, and
I know, and that's it. And that's where, you know, again, either way, what happens next? Like all I said was I think a good kick at the can is trying to get a better understanding of how this might be looked at next time, and just being also just being aware. You know, I was pulling through like my notes where like I met with Mike back in like 2011, and he was telling me, you know, about a paper a year. And then I sit there and I think, well, that's kind of maybe not it, but again, metrics keep changing, right?
Yeah.
They keep changing, and they have been changing, and in our department they will continue to keep changing. So
but it's amazing. You look at the list in our department, how few women there are is amazing. It's a shameful.
yeah, it is, you know,
And the ones who are going to have trouble, like the only other women assistant professor is Veronica, and she's going to have trouble getting through promotion because she's not being supported at all.
Ying, well, there's
And Ying is going to be okay, but
Ying will be okay because Ying has
funding.
a lot of people that she has worked with before. You know, it's kind of like and it's interesting in our department. If you've been here before and had relationships for people you worked with, like cancer or HLB, it's helpful. It is helpful. It's helpful because you maintain those relationships moving forward, and it's good. And that is good. I am hopeful that there are some young people that are newer recruits that have those opportunities because it will help them. Yeah, Veronica, it might be hard for her. We'll see. I guess we'll see. Again, I think that's all going to come on the radar. First, from what I understand, the university is very much still having to wrap its head around COVID. What I heard from Robin at the FA is that the message from the university now, as people are coming through,
it's like nothing happened.
It's that COVID happened. Or it was like COVID was significant. It was amazing, but in terms of like metric, whatever, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's quite something anyway. But you know, I guess we're gonna see. Let's just hope we don't end up going through all that again. Anyway, that was it. Thanks for your time.
Okay, good luck. Keep me posted.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I think I'll have a good conversation to know at least how this might look moving forward.
Yeah.
And in the
My only advice to you though is make sure you self-care through that, like that you do what's best for you.
For what? If I go through any process? Yeah, Helene, I've already determined I can't do a process. Honest to God, like I feel so weak, but I just, rather than saying I feel weak, I'd rather just say, I don't want to do that. You know, I just don't want to. I am so happy right now to have just honestly come through my personnel challenge. And do you know what's amazing? Can I tell you something? You know, Curtis, my Asian Asian guy who like hardly says anything.
I don't know him well. I've seen him in the hallway.
No, you've not just seen him. So Curtis never used to speak. I used to have meetings with the two of them about organizing their times and whatever, and it was like nothing. Curtis has like 500% stepped up to the plate. He's joking around, laughing. He comes to see me now about everything, asking questions, whatever that he didn't before.
Wow.
It's like, it's amazing. You know what? I hate to say this, but it's as though something really was lifted down there. I can't, and I sit there and I say, I know that's my perspective, but so I've really had to watch and just carry through, but it is amazing. That's amazing.
And you think that was Pierre?
I don't know. I think part of it was probably the way that Pierre and I had been trying to manage moving through some of this, right? And that it was just harder to have lab meetings, harder to have everything. But
Sorry.
no, it's okay. So I don't know, but I do think there's something, because I said to Curtis the other day, I said, Curtis, you come and you see me all the time. I said, how come you never came to see me before? And he said, because I thought I needed to manage it with Pierre. And I said, well, that would have been great. And I said, but if you couldn't, and he said, I think you already know that it couldn't be managed with Pierre. And that was all he said. And he says not, and he usually says nothing. So I don't know, and I wouldn't have wanted to jump the gun to guess, because I know how much it was impacting me, just because it was frustrating, it was hard. But anyway, it feels good. And so to come back to that, I just want to keep doing that. And I got a new graduate student.
Have you found a new person to replace?
No, it's posted. It's posted right now. There are actually 2 master's graduate students from MS Labs who have applied and want to come later. So I don't know how that will look. I can't really look at it.
Jasmine Gill is looking for work.
From Cheryl's Lab?
Because I know she's applied to a different position I'm aware of.
That's interesting. I wonder if it might be. So I did end up in the end posting it as a Tech 3. I thought really hard about posting as a Tech 4, but then when I went through the kind of the HR review of job descriptions and all this kind of stuff, and how much I'm stepping back in, I'm not sure. If it turns out that I really don't get candidates that are okay, I can consider that, especially watching where Curtis is stepping up, but we'll have to see. Well, that would be good to know. It doesn't close until next week, so I'll see who I get and what I get. I've circulated it now, like nationally. The hard thing is to get people to move to come to Vancouver is really hard.
Yeah,
right?
it's easier to somebody local. We also have a heads up. They would know people around. They would know their way. They would have contacts.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. It got circulated here. We'll know. We'll go through that. Right now, actually, I'm just pretty happy. I am actually just really happy with projects and work, and we've got money. So that's where I'm focusing more now.
How are the papers coming out?
So we've got one right now, the phospholipid one from Kaya. For the one for Farhea that we split, we could not get the clinical follow-up. The MS group, I can't get anybody to tell us about like 5-6 additional people from CIS through. I talked to Corey about it and tried to see if she could help. And I know she's really busy too. And so if she doesn't really care. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to care.
Is she on the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's her DOM study, right? Like she went and got, well, I guess we all got the original money, but she did. But all the work that I've done, like through all the biomarker and everything, it's just been me, and it's been my trainees that I pay and my people. So I'll get senior authorship, which is good on all of these. So that's three papers. Then we just did another biomarker too, which will be a short communication. So my goal this summer is those 3 have to be out, and Emily's has to be finalized so that we can get it out, which is for the mouse.
That would be great.
Yeah, no. And it's going to go to a good journal. So it's going to take time, but I don't care. That's why I'm not coming up right now for promotion. I want that paper.
You need those full papers. Yeah.
Yeah, small papers are good. I want that to be a big one. Helene is working well. I've extended her till, so I've extended her till December because she doesn't have to rush right now, but we've still got her on timelines for metrics, for the in vitro to wrap up, for the stuff to wrap up, drafting this. She's done the introduction. I've got her thinking thesis, but I've also got her thinking other things. I'm sending her to the big ISNI meeting in Quebec City, which is all neuroimmunology, because she deserves it, right? Like during COVID, there was nothing. So her and Emily are both going to go, and I think that'll be good for them. Yeah, it feels good. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm
Really?
Yeah, I'm overextended.
Yeah, I know. Helene, when I watched you on this, I know I typed in the minute, like if there's anything I can help, let me know. You really need a curriculum chair again. And I know I sit there and I know I keep saying, maybe I should like step back in now. I mean, I had to go away when I had to go away, and I really thought Angela would step in and do a lot. And I know
because Angela is grad advisor for the new program. She's overextended as well.
I know that, but you need that. So I don't know if you've got someone else in mind, or you want me to step back into that, because I can.
If you want to step back in, you're absolutely welcome.
I mean, I don't know if I don't know how we recruit. I know we're talking about changes, but I don't think there's going to be huge changes right away in the curriculum in terms of what's going to happen. I think you're going to get some good things. And I think you've already touched on the main things that are going to happen. Ali's course is going to be amazing. Thomas's course is going to be amazing. We can talk about microscopy and some other things to bring on board. Oh, and plus the flow cytometry being really expensive. I have a flow cytometer. Because somebody wants to teach it, that's easy, but it's not really about getting on the flow cytometer. It's all about the data analysis and what to do. And, so that's
I mean, getting on it is part of it. I mean, we were talking BMLSC. BMLSC is learning to do the flow.
Yeah. So
grad studies is learning to analyze flow.
Yeah, but we have a flow, like our flow cytometer. I'll offer it up for the department if they want to use it.
Okay. I mean, I think the grant writing has to happen. I think Cheryl, I will contribute. Several people will contribute to that.
Yeah.
I think it would be very nice to have the one on reviews.
Yeah. So why don't I talk to the librarian, and why don't we make that a 1 credit thing and get it going? Yeah. I mean, I worked with her so well, and if Angela can step in or wants to, or her postdoc or whoever wants to, great.
Yeah.
But you're going to need a faculty person to kind of get it going. And
I may have one of my students who'd be interested. Lulu may be interested in giving a lecture here and there, because she just went through a scoping review. Yeah. It would be nice to find somebody else who did a systematic review. Actually, Tanya did one. Maybe that would work. So they could just come with their perspective.
Yeah.
And how to use the covidence and.
Yeah. And I think that would be good. And how it happens. But I'll tell you, our librarian that we work with was amazing. She really was. So when we think about how that works, I
was talking with Cheryl, and she was it was in a committee meeting where she wanted her students to do a review. And I mentioned covidence. She was not aware.
No, I know most people do narrative reviews, which is 100% cherry picking to usually promote your own line of work.
Yeah.
And that's why certainly in biomedical reviews, that's almost most common. Only in the translational work that I have really done and hadn't done until 4 or 5 years ago, right? Has it really become clear how to go through much more of this systematically. And it's beautiful and it's eye-opening. And that's why I think it's so important, right? Anyway, but no, I'm not surprised. And that's exactly what you hear. Oh, I want to do someone's going to read, but usually.
But when I pointed it out, she was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. And then we were going to use this going forward, and great.
Well, yeah, you might, but not if you're still just interested in preparing a review that promotes your own narrative, right? Like again,
that's an opinion piece. That's an opinion piece.
Well, it should be, but it's still most narrative reviews. So, and that's the challenge, right? And that's okay, but that's also something that the students can learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what's so valuable for them. Oh, plus I have my sprint people are doing another short communication on biomarkers. So that'll be another thing that I'm
actually, Mari DeMarco just offered to work on a course on biomarkers.
Oh, good for her. That would be good. That would be really.
And so, you, Cheryl, her, there's a lot of people doing biomarkers. Yeah. It'd be nice to find some guys.
Yeah, well, you could, but you could also say it's okay. Something else I was just at, something for the MS meeting. We had one session and it was 6 women at the front. Okay. The next morning was 6 men. And I thought, shit, somehow we're really not still not getting, I mean, maybe overall we're going to come out equal, but you know what it was? All the women were rehabilitation, and all the men were scientific, biomedical, clinical trial. And I thought, that's where we're missing some of these boats. But
Yeah. But you know, I don't know. I offered this EDI, EDI, patient-oriented research, community-engaged research. And nobody picked up on this, but I get funded because that's what I do.
Yeah. Oh, I believe.
Yeah, IHR funds patient-involved research and community-engaged research.
It's huge. It's so huge. I mean, look at but anyway, yeah, I guess I'm probably not totally surprised. So anyway, I'll send you a note to follow up on some of these things. Are you here this summer or are you heading off to Quebec?
I'm here until August 5th.
And then you're going to Quebec?
Yeah. Then I'm going to write my grants while vacationing in Quebec.
I went to Quebec City last week. The first time I've ever been.
It's beautiful, eh?
Oh my gosh. And I'm going back again at the end of August for our big neuroimmunology meeting. It's beautiful. I was so very impressed and so pleased to be able to be a part of that. Like going there, never been there. So, and how far do you live from there? Where is your
well, my mom's apartment is smack in just outside the wall. It's smack downtown in the old part.
Pretty.
Yeah, she and then the chalet is 30 minutes outside.
Oh, so you're going to be there at the end of August?
Actually, I will.
So if I come, we could go. I'll come and visit you maybe because I think I'm there for like 4.5. It's quite a long meeting.
Oh yeah, give me a shout. Give me a shout.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll come and get you. I'll bring you to the lake.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Okay, anyway, I'll talk to you later. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.